I'm back in my home and I have 2 weeks to recap. But first, as always, I have a list of things to talk about. Let's start with my 2025 reflections, which I actually wrote about a month ago. I don't know if. Let's just go through them. I wrote, "This list of food thoughts and updates is getting ridiculous and reminds me of the hat box of thoughts under my bed." Okay, so I did want to. When I was younger, I had a problem when I was about 7 or 8 where I had to write down every thought that I had. And Twitter didn't exist yet. Blogging was pretty new. So I was really a blogger without an outlet, a 7-year-old who had to write down things. And I kept them all under a Winnie the Pooh hat box under my bed. And I remember a turning point for me was I was at the mall with my mom. We were in Macy's or Nordstrom or whatever, like cap department store was there. And I said, I have to write down this thought. And I lost my mind. And my mom said, you have to stop. This is a problem. This is affecting your life. So I stopped. I stopped writing all my thoughts down. And I guess over the years, I have found different ways to write my thoughts down. I did eventually get a Twitter account, but I don't use it. I guess this is just a continuation of the problems that I had when I was 7, 8. I wish I had kept that hat box full of thoughts and seen what I had been writing down. And I'm curious. I mean, they probably are terrible. My next bullet point says, my parents deleted my AOL account. My parents deleted my first AOL account because I was forwarding my entire extended family sex emails. That, I don't know why, I guess that's kind of related. My first AOL account. I should not have been allowed on the internet. I think I was about 7 or 8. And they did delete my first AOL email. My third bullet point that I guess at the time I thought was related to this was that I was an active member of a Zelda forum around the same time where 2 people got married. 2 people got married on the Zelda forum. I felt excluded, so I emailed a Zelda website and asked if I could be their webmaster, and they said yes. One day something broke and they emailed me asking me to fix it, and I didn't know how to do it, so I just ignored it and went to school. Eventually they wrote me a very long email and I wrote them back and said, I'm 8. And they emailed me back and said, do not email me again. Okay, I don't know why this was my 2025 reflections list. I think this is just a reflection of how chronically online I have always been and tried to be, even when my parents tried to delete my accounts. I'm always going to be online and I'm always going to be writing things down. And I think this is just how I'm expressing it. This is the medium that I'm expressing it. I guess keeping a food log for 7 years, 2020 to 2026, so it's 7 years, going on 7 years. It's just a continuation of my mental illness in a new and exciting form. Okay. I do have some. Oh, by the way, this list is actually bullet pointed with topics. So that was called 2025 Reflections. I'm moving on to a new section called Episode 41, Mac and Febreze Feedback. So 2 episodes ago, got some feedback from one of my sisters who wanted to weigh in on some of the memories that I shared. I did share a memory about the cakewalk at the elementary school fun fair that we went to every year. I realize some people don't know what a cakewalk is. Brian did not realize what a cakewalk was. It's like the game Candyland. It's like a board game. It's like musical chairs combined with Candyland, and you walk around on these like colored squares. And when the music stops, whoever lands on the square that has a cake on it wins a cake. So I talked about how I won a cake one year. My sister won 4 cakes one year at the cakewalk, and I wish I remembered more details of what she said. I couldn't imagine that my mom let her bring them all home, but I just want to congratulate her again on that huge win. And then she also had feedback on the chocolate crinkle cookie recipe that I shared that we would make often during the holiday season. My sister submitted the chocolate crinkle cookie recipe as one of our family recipes for a school project and had no idea until listening to episode 41 that it was another family's recipe. Which is funny, but also every recipe is from someone else in a way, you know? I don't know. It is funny that she submitted someone else's family recipe as our family recipe, but I'm almost positive that the family that we got the recipe from did not come up with the recipe. Okay, next topic, 90 Day Fiancé. I could talk a lot about the food of 90 Day Fiancé this past week and the week before, but the main thing that stuck out to me was there's this girl who lives in Tucson, Arizona, I think. She lives in Arizona. She looks like the Muppet, the blonde Muppet with the big eyelashes. And she's dating like a rapper in Belize. And she's going there to see him, I think, for the first time. They've been friends on the internet. He contacted her on the internet while he was still in a relationship because she posted a bikini shot of herself and tagged Belize. She was in Belize. He was in Belize. He found her via the location. Anyway, this is too much detail. The point is, he asked her to bring him Chinese food from America. That was the only thing he requested that she bring from America. So the day before her flight, she went to what looked like a horrendous, maybe like a mall Chinese place, and got a huge styrofoam tray of slop. Huge arrangement of slop. And then I'm going to assume she brought it home and refrigerated it. Let's hope that that's I'm going to assume that she put it in the refrigerator. The next day, she leaves for the flight with the Chinese food. So, I mean, you're flying to a foreign country. That's like an all-day affair. So anyway, she brought nasty room temp Chinese food to this guy in Belize. And they don't show him eating it. They do show her begging him to throw it away, or heavily suggesting that he get rid of it. And I think it's not only a food safety hazard that, yeah, he should throw it away, but it's like, that's not a really good representation of Chinese food. And don't let him think that that's what Chinese food is. It is also interesting that I'm assuming this is like a thing beyond just this one guy, that maybe people in Belize are like, ooh, I want American Chinese food. Kind of in the same way that Americans this past year became obsessed with the way that British people get a Chinese for takeaway and British Chinese takeaway food, and how bizarre that is with the curry sauce. Okay, that's all I got. My next subject is market. What I'm in the market for. I'm in the market. Well, every year around Christmas time, I review my own Christmas gift list and see if I want to buy myself anything. This is tied to a bigger theme around mashed potatoes, which I don't like mashed potatoes. I don't care for them. I'll eat them, but they're not something I go out of my way for. And I don't really make them. But it is something that you should probably have tools on hand to make. it is sort of a staple food in this country, at least. It's something that people expect you to be able to make, especially for a big meal. And my thought was, I need a potato ricer or a food mill, or like, how am I going to make really good mashed potatoes? And some people use a KitchenAid mixer, which is also an option. What I'm thinking is, actually, I saw a Chris Kimball Milk Street video. He said he learned a technique from Julia Totsauer at L'Office in Paris. It's a simplified version of pomme puree. The traditional recipe requires peeling potatoes, multiple passes through a ricer, and precise butter temperature. So instead of doing that, Julia overbakes the potatoes instead of boiling them. And then you rice them into hot milk with white pepper. It looks like a porridge. You over whisk them, which would normally create gluey potatoes. Then you add massive amounts of cold butter, which then melt. And then he said, you think that everything you're doing is wrong, but at the last minute, the melted butter emulsifies into the potatoes and they develop a shiny gloss, silky texture, and become incredibly creamy and light. I'm really glad that I found this video, because for the longest time I thought, why don't I just use a tamis? I have a tamis, and when I used to make potato bread at a French bakery, I used to make potato rolls. I would bake potatoes for at least an hour, 375, until they were super fluffy. And then you cut them in half and you press them through the tamis, and it's perfect. There are no lumps. And I thought, why don't we make mashed potatoes this way? Why are we doing ricer, like food mill? We could just do a tamis. And I'm thinking that this might be the way to go. So when I made mashed potatoes for Christmas this past week, my parents had a potato ricer, so I put them through a potato ricer. I should have done a second and third round through the potato ricer because they were a little bit lumpy. I had a stick of butter and cream and rosemary, sage, and thyme and crushed garlic, heated up, ready to go to pour into the rice potatoes. They were still a little bit lumpy. But if you need to pass something through a potato ricer multiple times, I don't think that that's the best method. I think that baking the potatoes and using a tamis is, at least for me, it's easy too. It falls through the tamis because after it's baked for so long, it's so fluffy. I don't even know if you need to pass it, to be honest. This is all to say, I don't know if I want a potato ricer anymore. I don't think that I need this. I'm going to cross it off my list. What I do kind of want, which is related, is a garlic press. I'm still on the fence about this because I do just love to slice garlic on its own. So potato ricer, no more. Food mill, I don't think I need this for the sake of a potato. I do still want one to make passata with the tomatoes in the summer. Food processor. This is a question I had. Do I need a food processor? I've been living my life without one for years. The only time when I think, a food processor would be nice is making a cookie or cracker-based crust, or crushing like nuts. But that doesn't seem like a strong enough use case for me to purchase and store a food processor in my kitchen 365 days a year. So I don't have one. Brian's brother gave us one and it broke. So I don't think I have one unless I'm mistaken. And you could also use it for making a pie crust, like a classic dough pie crust, but I prefer to do it by hand anyway. So I don't even think I need that. What I do think that I need is a microplane because you can't sharpen them. My microplane is old and I need a new one. Another thing that I need is cocoa powder because I don't have any. But the selection at my local grocery stores, Food Line and Whole Foods, I guess I could try going to Wegmans or something. I'm not seeing anything intriguing. Also, people are selling cocoa powder in bags these days, which is interesting. I'm used to them coming in a round container. I think most people are. When we were home, we needed cocoa powder for the chocolate cream pie that we made, and my dad had Ghirardelli cocoa powder that was probably 10 years old, and we threw it away. And I bought him some organic cocoa powder from Whole Foods, which I've bought in the past. It's fine, but I'm thinking I want something remarkable. I want something really good on hand. And I do need to do more research, but I am open to suggestions on that. I'm going to drink coffee. Okay. So really I can cross off everything. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I need cocoa powder. I need a microplane, but I'm dragging my feet because it's not something. My microplane works. It's just eventually I know I'm going to need a new one. Okay, I'm moving on to the next section called Off Menu. I listened to the Kate Winslet Off Menu episode, which is pretty good. The problem with having famous people anywhere, I guess, is that they're too famous. They don't want to say anything off color. So it's like the whole thing is just like a PR. Obviously, she's promoting a movie. That's why she's on the podcast. So they're not very candid. Everything's sort of just so. So it doesn't make for an interesting episode. What I did like was that she talked about the day after she drank two Negronis. I guess she's not a big drinker. One day she drank two Negronis and she described herself as feeling like a smashed bag of crabs the next day, which I thought was very colorful. She also talked about a British cheddar that she really liked. I guess she was a cheesemonger. She worked at a cheese counter at some point in her life. And she talked about, well, I should have written down the name, but it's a British cheddar that comes in a perfect cube. And that really appealed to me. Okay. I have a couple loose bullet points here without a topic. Every time I see a gold-colored car, I immediately think of a caffeine-free can of Coke or an almond Hershey Kiss. Which, I don't know if it's like a gold bronze car color. They're kind of rare. And when you see one, it's kind of like a caffeine-free Coke or an almond Hershey Kiss. They're also kind of rare. And I think that all three of those things are related. And it also reminds me of when going over to my grandmother's house, and she'd have the crystal she'd have a round crystal container full of Hershey Kisses with a crystal lid, and you would avoid the gold ones because those had almonds in them. I feel like the gold color is telling you this is different, avoid this, or it's signaling that something's wrong, like there isn't caffeine in it or there's nuts in it. And I wonder if gold cars also have a lot of problems and the gold color is signaling that like their brake pads are worn out. Okay, next bullet point. Thank you. I want to give a big thank you to all the recipe testers and creators who make visual charts. I love looking at visual charts, especially the people who make different types of cookies or like chocolate chip cookie charts are pretty popular. Cold butter, warm butter, melted butter, brown butter in refrigerator for 24 hours. It's not a perfect science, but it is great. Benjamin the Baker, aka Benjamin DeWilch, he does really good charts on TikTok that are in video format. I will also shout out Pancake Princess, who will make 10 recipes at a time. She'll pick like lemon cake and then make 10 lemon cakes. I don't know how she picks her recipes. She is pretty consistent about it. She does test a lot of blog recipes and then some more mainstream recipes. And then she crowdsources it. Crowdsources the ratings, it seems, which is interesting because none of the recipes ever seem to rate above a 7.5. So I don't know if she has a really picky audience or what. But I like her content. I actually pitched this idea to Serious Eats about 10 years ago of tests. Someone needs to be like testing out these recipes and comparing them for consumers. Someone needs to be a consumer advocate. And they never responded to me. But I'm appreciating the work that she's doing. There's, I think she rates the flour bakery recipes pretty highly consistently. There are a couple others, but I can't think of them at the moment. Okay, I have a section called recipes. Oh my God. So I mentioned the blog London Eats, which I don't know if I would recommend this blog. It doesn't seem to be actively updated, but there's a recipe from 2011 of Loftkoker Icelandic air cookies, which I'm really interested in eating. I don't think I'm going to make these. They call for a ingredient that you can really only find in Scandinavia. You can use baking soda, but they look like, I don't know what they look like. They look like inflated seatbelts that you cut into squares. And they're super light, crispy chocolate wafers. There's a Danish version of them that's more popular that has a different name. You need ammonium carbonate for the recipe. The recipe is actually really easy. 300 grams of icing sugar, 1 teaspoon of baker's ammonia or ammonium carbonate, 2.5 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1 egg beaten. Mix the icing sugar, baker's ammonia, and cocoa powder in a bowl. Add the egg mix. It'll be a stiff dough. And then you shape it. And then you can put a like a ridge pattern on it. They're supposed to be like a meringue. I'm very interested. Anyway, I'm still thinking about pecan recipes. I didn't use my pecans. The Winter Family iced pecan thumbprint cookie is still at the top of my list, but I had some other ideas. I made an orgeat syrup for, I think, a punch or a cocktail when I worked at Punch House in Chicago. I would make all the punches, all the components of the punches. I would also make all the components for the cocktail bars. There were 3 other cocktail bars in the building, in the Talia Hall Deucex building in Chicago. And I would prep all these ingredients. One of the bartenders wanted an orgeat syrup that I made. It was really good, almond based, but I thought it would be, what about a pecan orgeat? That might be cool. I also made a pecan horchata when I was down there, and it tasted like carrot cake and it was delicious. So I would maybe do that again. I keep encountering other cookies that are reminding me of the triple sesame tea cakes that I made. I was watching Martha Stewart and she made these cookies that were like a Guatemalan version of the triple sesame tea cakes. I think I mentioned the South Carolina version from the London Eats blog last time. This is a Guatemalan version. She was rolling out the dough, actually, and she said, we are going to roll this dough into our favorite shape, a snake, which is not what I was expecting her to say. Okay, let's check out this recipe. I don't have her recipe, but I saw another one. They're called champuradas, which is also what people call hot chocolate, I believe. Yes, not to be confused with Mexican champurrado. Let's see. Guatemalan recipe, that celebrates Guatemala's Independence Day. It resembles a sugar cookie made with butter and sprinkled with toasted sesame seeds. Every blog I read, I cannot tell if it's generated by a computer or AI. It all seems a little bit so. Let's see. I guess this is a breakfast cookie according to this blogger. I can't find them here in the US, blah, blah, blah. It's like, this seems like a sweeter version, but it is very similar. Also, this version has eggs in it. Margarine. Eggs and milk. So this is a little bit different, I would say. Okay. Anyway, just wanted to shout out that recipe, mostly because I wanted an excuse to talk about Martha Stewart telling us that her favorite shape was a snake. Okay, moving on to TikTok. DC Plate King. I don't know why I haven't talked about him yet. He's one of my favorite accounts. He is a plate salesman in the DC area. He makes strange content. Let's see. I have an Instagram link, which I'm putting my Instagram stuff under the TikTok category. You know what I mean by that. Yes. Saw this post by Ando Patisserie. They are in Williamsburg. Probably, yeah, they're in Brooklyn. They made, I cannot tell if this is a joke or not. They made bell pepper lattes. It's different colored bell peppers cut and carved out and then filled with what I would assume to be a latte and topped with whipped cream and sprinkles. A lot of the comments on this post are question marks, which I would agree with, and I'm going to move on from that. I did see on TikTok someone named Jules the lawyer wanted to warn everybody that Sabre cutlery is not dishwasher safe. It's not dishwasher safe above 113 degrees, while most home dishwashers disinfect at 150 degrees. Commercial dishwashers disinfect at 180. So she said it's expensive cutlery that she made a mistake buying. It's not dishwasher safe, so avoid it. Apparently it's trending. It's not trending on my algorithm, but I would like to throw in a quote from Brian's mother, who, when we go over to her house and help her do dishes, says, "Just throw everything into the dishwasher. We're going to die soon anyway." So she does put every single item that she owns in the dishwasher. Okay, next bullet point, salatini alla bicchiere. Well, I don't know what this is. Ooh. Okay, I saw a recipe on TikTok for this. Okay, the recipe is in Italian, and my Italian is very broken, I would say. Okay, now that I'm looking at it, they look like miniature pigs in a blanket, which is not the case. In the recipe that I saw on TikTok, they looked like oyster crackers. But I thought that this would be a great component for my savory cookie box that I'm imagining. Okay, again, this is all in Italian. I'm not going to read it to you in Italian, and shoot. Anyway, they're like cheddar, parm, pancetta, rosemary, olive oil, oyster crackers. They're like a flavored oyster cracker, and I'm into it. Okay. Ooh, this person, Carmi Salito, has been on my TikTok feed for quite a while now. He is a British person who buys really expensive things, especially from Harrods. He bought all of their ridiculously expensive Christmas cracker boxes, like the cracker things that you pull open and a toy comes out. He's strange. I mean, he's interesting. I can't tell. It seems like he's never encountered anything before. He doesn't know what anything is. I don't know if it's an act or part of like his charm. Like he tastes cakes or different products that you get in the $10 Too Good to Go bags that places give out, and he doesn't seem to know what anything is. I don't know if I'm going to recommend his videos, but I do want to applaud his Ralph Nader style consumer advocacy in the same way that Jules the lawyer, anybody who is reviewing products and warning people about terrible deals, I'm going to applaud and recommend that they keep producing content. Anyway, moving on to this Wiley, oh man, I'm always going to butcher this last name, Dufresne, the WD-40 guy. This guy came up on my TikTok. Did I write down his name? Shoot, I didn't. Anyway, these like British, how do I describe them? A lot of British guys, but also French guys, but also American guys in a kitchen being really chefy. Oh, I did write his name down. Alex Stupak. He recreated a WD-40 recipe that is a glaze for a cake that I'm into. I guess the original WD-40 application was a carrot glaze for something. So this recipe is 500 grams of water, 5 grams of kappa carrageenan, 4 grams of locust bean gum. You put that all in a blender and then stovetop, and then you add 7.5 grams potassium citrate, 75 grams sugar, 500 grams raspberry puree or whatever flavoring you're trying to do. And then it sort of creates like a mirror glaze. I mean, it's not a mirror glaze, but it kind of reminds me of that. And you can coat a cake with it. He was just sticking random pieces of cake on the end of a toothpick and coating them, but it looked divine. I don't think I would ever make this. I'm not really into food science where I'm like purchasing bags of white powder. I would need like a second kitchen if I wanted to get into that. But I thought it was cool. Okay, pomme souffle. I really want to make pomme souffle. They also look like oyster crackers. And then speaking of British slash just guys on TikTok, I don't know. It's like the same guy over and over. There's a guy named Jean-Remy Joly, and he is making seashell shaped pot pies and other sort of hand pie, savory pies. And I'm going to applaud his efforts. I'm going to drink coffee. Okay. Let's get into it. I have 2 weeks to cover. December 15th, 2025. It was a Monday. 7:30 a.m. counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 11:30 a.m. a cup of coffee with half and half and leftover lasagna at the office. 4:30 p.m. cracked pepper crocantini with little sesame. Mexican street corn flavored hummus. 6:30 p.m. spaghetti with shallot, garlic, bacon, garlic, lacinato kale, lemon, chiltepin pepper, banner garlic, basil, and parsley, butter, parmesan, and black pepper made at home. 7 p.m. a seized chocolate cream and a handful of blueberries. All right, I'm going to put on my consumer advocate hat and tell you not to buy the Little Sesame Mexican street corn flavored hummus, which I rightfully avoided the first time. And the second time I got a little too curious. It has a ton of sweet corn in it, which I think is odd. Really, all you can taste is like a vague chili powder flavor. I am not going to recommend it. It is a collaboration with, okay, let me click on this link, Tacombi, which is a tortilla maker. Their website kind of rocks. It kind of looks like an old GeoCities website. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there are GIFs of dolphins laughing. It's a cool website. I don't think they did a good job on this. I don't know. I'm not going to blame one party over the other, but compared to the other flavors, this was not it. Little Sesame. introduced this flavor June 27th, 2024. I think it's time to take it off the shelves. This flavor was inspired by our favorite summer food, elote. Yeah, it really missed. Like the ingredient list, I feel like you could have played up the lime and the cotija cheese flavors, and the mayonnaise flavor. That's what makes an elote good, not the corn itself. So I think it was a big miss. This spaghetti was way too complicated. I put way too many things in it, but it was still good. Eating blueberries. Did you know that most of the blueberries that you're eating this time of year are from Peru or Chile? Interesting. I thought. Apparently, the blueberry industry in Peru has exploded in the last 10 years. So I thought that was interesting. Great blueberries, though, I would say. December 16th, 2025. It was a Tuesday. 7:30 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 12:30 p.m. Olive oil toasted La Farm sourdough with cream cheese. 1:30 p.m. Crocantini with little sesame Mexican street corn hummus. 3 p.m. A bowl of bran flakes with milk. 6 p.m. Chicken katsu with lemon and cookout Max Ranch. Mixed lettuce with creamy Caesar dressing and jasmine rice made at home. 8 p.m. A Hershey's snickerdoodle flavored kiss. I have not made katsu in a while. This was one of the better katsu I've made in a long time. What is it? It's like organic air chilled chicken from Whole Foods that I got. It was the 50% off. Yeah, like you got to buy it that day, they say, or use it that day, even though the expiration date is still a couple days out. So I usually freeze it. High quality chicken. It was really good, boneless chicken breasts, and already sort of thin. I didn't have to do anything to them. I just salted it. And I did a really simple flour, then egg and mustard mixture for the wet, and then panko. And I had just plain panko, and then lemon all over it and salt on the very end. It was good, I will say. Okay, December 17th, 2025, Wednesday, 7 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 10 a.m. Pretzels with little sesame Mexican street corn hummus and blueberries, and a cup of coffee with half and half at the office. 12 p.m. A strawberry grain bar. 6 p.m. Turkish sucuk fatayr with shata, chicken shawarma, spinach pie, baba ganoush, and faul madamas with whole wheat pita, and a lamb and beef gyro with tahini and tzatziki from Mediterranean Deli in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. 8 p.m. Hershey's snickerdoodle flavored kisses. Okay, I had a toddler's lunch at the office, pretzels and hummus and blueberries. I gotta say, I bought these Whole Foods store brand mini pretzel twists. They're awful. Whole Foods store brand is super hit or miss, and this is a big miss. I don't know if they were made for children or what, but they're anemic. They don't have that like dark pretzel taste that you want. It feels like it was something made for children. Bad, very bad. So that combined with the street corn hummus, all around bad. So let's see. I was in the office. North Carolina, Chapel Hill is a ghost town because all the students leave and exams are over. So I went to Mediterranean Deli and I tried to order the chicken shawarma that Brian so deeply loved on the app, which they don't let you order on the app for pickup for some reason. So I had to compromise. And I ordered a bunch of different things. I ordered like a side of chicken shawarma, which was not good. I realized the reason why it was so good is because it was doused in the tahini sauce. The chicken shawarma on its own is not that impressive. So I got a Turkish sucuk fatayr. So the sucuk is sausage, which I actually did remember. I did take 4 semesters of Turkish, believe it or not. I don't actually think that this is a fatayr. I think it's technically a pita, which I just linked myself to the Wikipedia. Ichlapide. Ichlapide, literally stuffed pide, is also simply called pide, is a savory Turkish dish consisting of a flattened, leavened wheat-based dough topped or filled with ingredients such as minced meat, kashar, beyaz peynir, vegetables, or tahine baked at a high temperature, traditionally in a wood-fired oven. Particularly popular in the Black Sea region of Turkey. A person who makes pide is known as a pideci. So I think that's what this was. According to my readings, a fatayr is smaller. This was huge. This came in a pizza box. It was like the size of a boat. I thought what I was ordering was a khachapuri, which is like the Georgian version of this. And I think became a little bit trendy and popular 5 to 7 years ago. Everybody had khachapuris. Khachapuri, how is it different? I mean, it's like a little boat filled with cheese, and then they crack an egg into it and it bakes. Very similar. A fatayr is, typically smaller. This was gigantic. I'm clicking on the actual menu. So we had aged spicy Turkish sausage with freshly oven baked eggs, feta, mozzarella cheese, brushed with olive oil, sesame seeds, and parsley. This was good. I don't know if I would get it again, but it was very good. And then what's in the sucuk itself? I don't know, but it was super red. I liked it. I think that Europeans should consider using it for pepperoni. It was good. I'm not seeing any spice. It's not really telling me what the spice combo is, though, on the Wikipedia page. Anyway, I'm going to exit and go back. What else? The spinach pie, the bread itself was really good, but it was a little watery. I don't think Mediterranean deli has good baba ganoush at all. It tastes like the first time I made baba ganoush, and I was like, this sucks. That's what it tastes like. It's not fine and creamy enough. Huge chunks of stringy eggplant. It's watery. The lamb and beef gyro was good. I didn't like Med Deli, as people call it, Mediterranean Deli in Chapel Hill, for the longest time. People love it. It's an institution. Very student focused. The chicken shawarma changed my mind. I'm sort of back to being on the fence about it after this meal. The shatta was really good. I didn't talk about the shatta. It's like they have the best thing about Meddel is they have a whole salad bar of condiments that you can take for free. And I took some of their shatta. I mean, I'm guessing this is shatta. I don't know what else it was. It was like a hot sauce. It seemed to have cheese in it, which I couldn't really figure out. It's like a lactic fermentation hot sauce, and you can add vinegar or lemon juice. This one seemed to have like finely grated cheese in it, unless that was some yeast from the lacto fermentation. I'm not sure. That was great. I guess I would go back again, but I don't think I would order any of this again that I ordered, to be honest. I would go back to the original chicken shawarma in-house, doused in sauce. Made my mouth taste like garlic for days. Okay, December 18th, 2025. It was a Thursday, 9 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home, 10:30 a.m. Leftover jasmine rice with leftover chicken shawarma, shawarma salad, tzatziki, shatta, faul madamas, and baba ganoush. 1 p.m. A leftover slice of the sucuk fatayr. 5:30 p.m. Frozen Screamin' Sicilian thin and crispy pepperoni pizza and mixed lettuce with creamy Caesar dressing made at home. 8 p.m., Hershey's Snickerdoodle flavored kisses. I will say this leftover rice that I made with all these leftover Mediterranean deli toppings was killer. I got this shawarma salad condiment that was mostly herbs and maybe some, it was like an herb salad, I would say. Sort of like a tiger salad, but more focused. That all mixed together with the rice. I didn't even have that much of anything, but all of it together with the rice was divine. I will say that I got 4 Screamin' Sicilian pizzas that week, the week that I'm talking about, December 18th, around that time. They were buy one, get one. What a deal. So I got 2 regular, 2 thin and crispies. I cannot tell you what the difference between the 2 of them are because this was not thin and crispy. I will taste a regular one soon and see if I can spot a difference, but no. December 19th, 2025, it was a Friday. 8:30 a.m., counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 10 a.m., leftover frozen pepperoni pizza. 12 p.m., a leftover slice of fatseir. 3 p.m., a handful of blueberries. 5 p.m., nam khao made with leftover jasmine rice, red curry paste, shallots, garlic, scrambled egg, mixed lettuce, lime, and crispy garlic made at home, and a pour of Leatherby pear cordial over ice. 7:30 p.m., 2 Hershey's Snickerdoodle flavored kisses and a handful of pretzels. This was definitely a meal where I was like, we're going out of town. We need to clean out the fridge. So I made fried rice. I will say that this sort of reminds me of the Mission Chinese salt cod rice that I used to make at Mission Chinese, which was salt cod forward, obviously, but also Chinese sausage, scrambled egg, and a ton of lettuce. I think that if you're trying to clean out your fridge before you leave and you have leftover rice and you have a ton of lettuce, make fried rice and then put it in a bowl and then add lettuce to it and fold the lettuce in at the end just to heat the lettuce and slightly wilt it. I know that people think that, including myself, think that warm lettuce is gross. I think it really works in this application. I was going for like a nam khao. This is not exactly a nam khao. I did break up leftover jasmine rice and I seasoned it with red curry paste, sugar, and salt, and fried that in some hot oil with, all of this stuff. And then topped with the lettuce, lime, crispy garlic. It didn't get as crispy as I wanted it to get. I will never forget like the whole fish inside of crispy rice that I got at it's a popular Asian place in Madison, Wisconsin that does an incredible crispy rice. I forget what it's called, but I would highly recommend seeking that place out. If you go to Madison, people will tell you to go there. It's not hard to find. But they have like a Laotian menu, and they have like 4 different menus depending on what cuisine you want. Okay, I just looked it up, and I believe it is Lao Lan Zhang Restaurant. Sorry, LaoLaanXang. I believe that's where we went. I don't know. I have so many saved places in Madison, Wisconsin on my map. It's like it's going to take me a whole day to figure out where it was. A lot of great food in Madison, if you couldn't figure that out. Anyway, December 20th, 2025, it was a Saturday. 9 a.m., counterculture coffee with cream made at home. 1:30 p.m., potato chips and sour cream ranch dip, prosciutto with Ritz crackers, shrimp cocktail, beef tenderloin with horseradish cream, mashed potatoes with mushroom gravy, green beans, a Hawaiian roll with salted butter, a slice of strawberry cheesecake with whipped cream, a cup of coffee with half and half, peanut M&Ms, a glass of Chardonnay, a small pour of Howling Cow eggnog, and a small pour of Stroma malt whiskey liqueur at Brian's parents' house. So this was Christmas at Brian's parents' house, if you hadn't gathered that already. So we ate a ton of food. At the end of the day, Brian's mom sat down and said, "Oh my God, I must have eaten 1,000 calories today." Which concerns me as a medical professional. You should probably know what that means, how many calories you should actually be eating in a day. We brought over let's start at the beginning. I mean, that was a lot of food. First of all, there were 4 plates of hors d'oeuvres out. The potato chips with sour cream ranch dip, which Brian's parents thought was disgusting because it was not pre-made ranch dip. It was made with sour cream, and they thought it wasn't suitable. I thought it was fine. I think maybe the thing is you need to let it sit overnight, and they didn't. A huge cheese board with prosciutto and Ritz crackers and olives, shrimp cocktail with a big thing of cocktail sauce, and this was all over a huge bed of iceberg lettuce with lemon wedges everywhere. And there was another hors d'oeuvre that I can't remember now. I don't think I ate any of it. Brian's mom did a great job on the beef tenderloin. The mushroom gravy was more of a stock, I would say. It was very thin. This Wegmans strawberry cheesecake with whipped cream was very good. Brian picked up 4 quarts of Howling Cow eggnog and brought that. Well, we brought over 1 quart because we thought a child was going to be there. She didn't end up showing up. But, okay, so Brian works at NC State, which is is a school with a huge ag department, a huge veterinary department. So they have a ton of cows. They have a cow farm. They have all kinds of farms. And they produce so much milk that they make ice cream and sell ice cream. They also make eggnog. And apparently their eggnog is so popular that they had to put a limit on it of how many quarts an employee can buy in a year. You're only allowed to buy 2 cases or 32 quarts per individual. So I thought, that's insane. What was happening where people were trying to buy more than that? And they're paying full price for it. There's no discount. So I was super excited to try this. It's fine. It tastes like nutmeg. And I took a picture of the container, which, I mean, it's full of preservatives, it's full of garbage. I mean, I guess they're teaching kids like food science and how to preserve things. But if I can find the picture of it, I will read it aloud. I took a lot of pictures, I realize. It says Happy Holidays from something very sinister. Happy Holidays from the Department of Food, Bioprocessing, and Nutrition Sciences. That was super appetizing to me. Okay. So I said, let's try it. Brian's mom opened the quart and poured most of it into a giant glass for me to drink. I don't think that's an appropriate pour of eggnog. That's at least 1,000 calories. The 1,000 calories that she thinks that she ate in one day, a single day, and that was way too much. So we split it amongst people. It was fine. I don't know. We had 3 more quarts and I brought them home to my parents in Connecticut because we have a family of eggnog fans. I wouldn't buy it again, I would say. I personally like an eggnog that is a little bit more cinnamon forward, which maybe I shouldn't be drinking eggnog. Maybe I should. I think what I like is horchata, really, at the end of the day, is what I want. This Stroma malt whiskey liqueur. Brian's parents got this in Scotland. Apparently it's from the oldest distilleries in Scotland. They poured it in shot glasses Everybody took a shot of it and winced. Ooh, it's so hot. I took a drink of it and I was really worried, and it tasted like pure sugar. I was shocked. It's disgusting. Stroma malt whiskey liqueur, hailing from the far northeast of Scotland off the Caithness coast. Stroma malt whiskey liqueur takes its name from the windswept Caithness Isle. Yeah, it's out of stock. 35% ABV. It tastes like toffee, spicy, honey, fruity. It tastes awful. I'm glad it's out of stock. Meanwhile, Brian's parents had 2 bottles of eggnog that already had alcohol was mixed into it. What's that brand? William Evans, I believe. And lemonade. And Brian's mom wanted to make us snowballs, which her British friends eat, apparently. So she mixed the William Evans, is that the name? The William Evans alcoholic eggnog and Simply Natural lemonade together. I refused to drink it. So I looked up the Wikipedia page. A snowball is a cocktail containing advocaat, which is the Dutch version of eggnog. Traditional Dutch alcoholic beverage made from eggs, sugar, and brandy. Custard-like consistency, 14 to 20% ABV. So a snowball is a mixture of advocaat and carbonated lemonade in approximately equal parts. It typically contains a fresh squeeze of lime juice, which is shaken with the advocaat before pouring into the glass and topping up with lemonade. In the UK, it's often sold in both pubs and supermarkets in small bottles of approximately 113 milliliters. Okay, why we don't care that. And usually drunk as a winter warmer, often at Christmas. Okay. The Wikipedia photo is very interesting. Every photo on Wikipedia was taken in 2005. Okay, this is taken in 2017. It is a hand of a person with a manicure. Their manicure color would probably be like a pinkish mocha color, I would describe it. They're holding a wine glass full of this beverage with, it looks like there's a cherry garnish, but I think it's a Christmas ornament in the background coming through the glass. They're holding it up in front of their Christmas tree. I don't know. I mean, maybe I should have given this a chance, but not with those ingredients. I think it would need to be like good eggnog, sparkling lemonade. I don't know. I mean, my sister, who doesn't like fruit desserts, said that sounds terrible. It sounds like lemon posset, and that's why I don't like lemon posset. And I thought, well, I do like lemon posset, so maybe I would like this. Anyway, I missed my opportunity to taste it, and I probably will never get it again. December 21st, 2025, it was a Sunday. 4 a.m., leftover coffee with cream. 7:30 a.m., a sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin and a hash brown from a McDonald's in Fredericksburg, Virginia. 11:30 p.m., a cold brew with half and half from Starbucks and fries from Popeyes in New Jersey. 5 p.m., a Kona Big Wave Golden Ale, steamers with drawn butter, and a seafood platter with fried cod, calamari, fried bay scallops, fried little neck clams, lemon, marinara, a clam fritter, a stuffed clam, and tartar sauce at Flanders Fish in East Lyme, Connecticut. 8 p.m., a small pour of New England Cider Company's blueberry cider and a small pour of Hofbrau Oktoberfest beer. Okay, so on the move, went to a McDonald's at 7:30 in the morning. Brian went in to go to the bathroom and get us some McDonald's breakfast, and apparently there was a man doing yoga in the McDonald's. I said, "Are you sure?" Anyway, we ended up at a second McDonald's a couple hours later. because Brian had to use the bathroom. He said it was just as weird, but in different ways. So we had a couple of weird McDonald's trips. Then we ended up at a rest stop in New Jersey. If you've ever driven on the New Jersey Turnpike, they have really fun names now. Whitney Houston rest stop. They have a James Gandolfini rest stop. I don't remember which one we went to. But Brian was in line for Popeyes. They didn't have the cheese curds, which I tried to get. So I just ended up getting a coffee at Starbucks, which was a nightmare in itself. But while Brian was waiting for his Popeyes order, someone came up to the Popeyes employees and said, I don't know who to tell this to, but one of the trash cans outside is on fire. And the people in the Popeyes said, okay, and then didn't do anything about it. I mean, what are they going to do? Why are you telling the people in the Popeyes? So Brian did a lap to try and find the trash can that was on fire. It definitely smelled like a trash fire was happening. We think we found the trash can that was on fire, but it wasn't a problem. It had been put out. Okay, ended up at Flanders Fish in East Lyme, Connecticut. This is where my family and I went to growing up when we would go down to Harkness. If you don't know what Harkness is, it's a giant mansion on the waterfront, and it's a museum now, but also just a huge, huge lawn where people picnic and fly kites, and it's right on the water. And you can get a tour of the old house and the gardens. People get married there, whatnot. It's beautiful, but we would go there and eat lobster rolls on their picnic benches outside in the summers. I'd never eaten inside. I didn't even know there was an inside until I went here with Brian. The last couple of times we drove up, we didn't have time to go to a fish place on the coast. And so I wanted the opportunity to do that this time. And Brian really wanted steamers. I didn't realize you can't really get steamers and clams in North Carolina. It's more of a New England thing. I didn't realize that. Brian's obsessed with steamers now. These steamers that we got were so sandy, filled with dirt and rocks. I think I broke all my teeth. I was just chewing on rocks. The seafood platter was pretty good. I think Brian and I both agreed that we always end up getting fried seafood and it's kind of too much. I think we need to stop doing that. This Kona Big Wave Golden Ale was disgusting. I think the beer lines needed to be cleaned. It was on tap. It was sour. I don't think it was supposed to be. Unless they just gave me the wrong beer. What else? I ended up getting some clam dip to go. They had some pre-made food items. I got that from my mom. She said she liked it. I thought it was a little bit sweet for my taste. But yeah, this was a fun excursion. Okay, December 22nd, 2025. It was a Monday. Oh, and sorry. And if I wasn't making it clear, I was driving to my parents' house in Connecticut this day, which is why we went to like 6 McDonald's restaurants. December 22nd, 2025, it was a Monday, 9 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home in Connecticut, 12 p.m. Half of an everything bagel with North Country bacon, fried egg, cheddar, whipped cream cheese, fig jam, sriracha, house-made pesto, and half of a sesame bagel with bacon and cheddar ranch cream cheese from Seed in Glastonbury, Connecticut. 2 p.m., white cheddar Cheetos. 6 p.m., turkey, ham, salami, Grey Poupon Dijon, mayonnaise, lettuce, and J.P. Graziano's giardiniera on a toasted onion roll made at home in Connecticut. 7 p.m., peanut M&Ms and Garrett's cheddar and caramel popcorn. Okay, this day, December 22nd, was the big grocery shopping day for Christmas. My dad bought us grocery store bagels, which were Thomas's sourdough bagels or some brand of maybe they were Trader Joe's sourdough bagels. They were not good. I think a lot of brands are saying that things are sourdough now when they're not, or maybe they have a little bit of sourdough in them. And my mom thinks that she can only eat bread if it's sourdough because of the gluten processing that happens. So she'll eat these, but I don't think it's a true sourdough. Anyway, everybody rejected this grocery store bagel, and we decided to get bagels from a place called Seed in Glastonbury. It was fine. I actually thought the sandwich was really good. There was a lot going on, if you couldn't tell. And then I split that sandwich with Brian. It was called a Miss Figgy. And then I split a sesame bagel with bacon, cheddar, ranch, cream cheese with Brian. I tried to get the horseradish scallion cream cheese, I think, but they were out of that. But overall, it was great. But, I mean, it might as well have been a grocery store bagel. I feel like if you're not in New York and you're not at a good bagel place in New York, like everything else is at the end of the day a grocery store bagel. It's like either it's a bagel or it's not. I'm being a little harsh. It was a step up. It was definitely a step up from a grocery store bagel. And the sandwich was really good. You would think, I mean, I was scared of it at first. I mean, let me just read it again. Bacon, fried egg, cheddar, whipped cream cheese, fig jam, sriracha, pesto. It did work though, I will say. And then I made a Italian-esque sandwich on an onion roll. Love an onion roll. That's a good grocery store bread option, an onion roll, not a bagel. Turkey ham, salami, Grey Poupon, mayonnaise, lettuce, JP Graziano's giardiniera. It was the JP Graziano's giardiniera was super hot. Anna brought that from Chicago one year to my parents as a gift, but it really made the sandwich. So yeah, this was a sandwich heavy day. I can't complain. And one last comment about this sandwich. The bagel sandwich from Seed in Glastonbury was so flavorful, and I was going back and forth between my two bagel halves. So flavorful that when I went back to take a bite of the bacon, cheddar, ranch, cream cheese bagel, it tasted like nothing. So if you're looking for flavor, go no further. My dad's former secretary sent him a tin of Garrett's popcorn. Garrett's from Chicago. I opened it and I basically ate the entire tin while I was there. It was just cheddar and caramel popcorn mixed together, which I had never seen before. Usually they're sectioned off. I had a very strong visceral reaction to this. I really haven't had this food since the first grade. I don't know why, but first grade, my favorite elementary school teacher, Mrs. Weir, she had a tin of this popcorn around the holidays in the little sections. And when you went up to her to hand in your assignment, she would give you a handful of flavored popcorn. And I just thought this was something that first of all, I loved it. I loved it so much. But I grew up thinking that this was something that was inaccessible and you could only get this as a gift. And so as an adult, I have never made the purchase. I could buy this right now. I could buy this item for myself. I don't know why it's never occurred to me. But anyway, I was so shocked and pleased that this was in my life, and I ate all of it. It was delicious. It wasn't even that good. I mean, everybody else in the house was like, yeah, it's fine. I think the food memory really made it for me. Okay, December 23rd, 2025, it was a Tuesday, 9 a.m., counterculture coffee with half and half, and half a bagel with vegetable cream cheese made at home. 1 p.m., Garrett's cheddar and caramel popcorn and a handful of Cape Cod wavy white cheddar and sour cream kettle chips. 5 p.m., a bottle of Eyinger Bavarian pills, chicken salad on a brioche roll with Kerrygold and garlic herb butter, and Stoltzfus meets garlic ring bologna made at home in Connecticut. 6:30 p.m. M&Ms and Garrett's popcorn. So we gave in and we're eating the grocery store bagels with vegetable cream cheese. I think my dad had about 14 different containers of cream cheese in varying states of molding in the fridge. Um, so that was fun to sift through. Ended up on some vegetable cream cheese. Um, these wavy white cheddar and sour cream kettle chips were okay. There were a lot of chip options in my parents' home. The white cheddar Cheetos were great. Let's see. We're drinking some beer. I was really excited to try some Orange Cat Brewing in Connecticut. Last year they had a jalapeno ale that was wonderful. So we went back to the beer store to find more Orange Cat Brewing beer. And they had a ton of different options, but almost every single one was an IPA or like a double IPA or like a New England style IPA. So we had to pass this time. I don't know. It was very disappointing. Ended up getting this Eyinger Bavarian Pils, which we had last time. It's very dry, a little bit bitter. I really like it. And what do we have the night before? We had like a Oktoberfest beer, which was a little bit too wit beer for me, but it was fine. Let's see. I made chicken salad. I went down to the farmers market. There are a couple different farmers market on their main streets, and since growing up, a different family took it over, and they sell all kinds of really great local meat now in a freezer section. So we picked up a whole chicken so we can make stock for Christmas dinner, and I used the chicken meat for a chicken salad. Really simple with mayonnaise and celery. But it was a really nice chicken, and it made a really nice stock. Really nice gelatinous stock, I'll say. And then we got some bratwurst from them for the dressing, the stuffing. And then this garlic ring bologna I grilled on like a Le Creuset pan with grill ridges, which confused the hell out of my dad. I treated it like a kielbasa because that's what it looked like. And he was like, that it's not kielbasa. Then we had to look at the definition of a kielbasa versus a bologna, and which he kept referring to as bologna. And I forget now, but I think bologna is a kielbasa. Or, Anyway, he was arguing with me. I said, it's basically the same thing. You can eat it however you want. And even the packaging said you can treat it like a kielbasa, you can grill it. Kielbasa is more robust garlic profile, coarser grind, while American bologna is more finely ground. Both originating from the Italian mortadella, but evolving differently. They're great cooked together in dishes like slow cooker meats with sauerkraut, grilled, or simply sliced for sandwiches. So yeah, I mean, he's arguing with me, but we grilled it and ate it like kielbasa, and it was great. So ring bologna, or bologna as my dad would say, is an authentic Pennsylvania Dutch specialty named for its distinctive ring-shaped casing. Our ring bologna is made with our own blend of spices and comes smoked and ready to eat. Great for a snack, hors d'oeuvres, or a delicious snack. You're supposed to pair it with some smoked cheddar on a cheese board. Anyway, great on the grill, it says, which is exactly what I did. Sorry that I was wrong. Anyway, December 24th, 2025, it was a Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half, and half a toasted bagel with vegetable cream cheese made at home. 1 p.m. Cars Entertainment Cracker Collection with leftover ring bologna and cheddar, a handful of Garrett's popcorn, and a mini black and white cookie from Katz's Deli in New York. 4 p.m. Half a can of Berlinetta Velvet Pilsner, a Goody Girl double stuffed chocolate creme sandwich cookie, and a Whole Foods Oreo. 6 p.m. half of a Katz's Deli Reuben sandwich with corned beef made at home in Connecticut. 8:30 p.m. A pour of Arethusa eggnog. Okay. So we did end up eating the leftover rig bologna sliced cold with cheese on crackers. My mom at the same time ordered Katz's Deli through whatever one of those services is where they bring you restaurant food to your house, packed in ice. So she got corned beef, pastrami. She basically got all the ingredients to make Reuben's, but also their classic cold corned beef and mustard on rye bread. So you could do either. They also sent a box of mini black and white cookies, which were divine. At first, I was like, these kind of taste weird, like almond extract or something, but then I ended up eating like almost all of them. I split a can of this Berlinetta Velvet Pilsner, which I think is a Connecticut beer. It was good. It wasn't too sweet. It's like one of those rare times where someone does a German European import beer locally, and it's actually good. It's not too sweet. And then Anna and Mary were making this chocolate cream pie with gluten-free Oreos. We had to get 2 boxes to get enough for the recipe, so we ended up getting 1 box of Goody Girl brand double stuffed chocolate cream sandwich cookies, which are gluten-free, and then a box of gluten-free Whole Foods Oreos. The Whole Foods Oreo, I did a taste test. The Whole Foods brand, initially I was like, oh my God, what a great crumbly, sandy, crunchy texture, but it tasted like fish. It had a very strange aftertaste. The Goody Girl texture is not as crisp as the Whole Foods, but it had a much better flavor. So we ended up using the Goody Girl for the crust with a few Whole Foods brand because we didn't have enough of the first box. So I do want to mention this Arethusa eggnog, which was at our local Connecticut Whole Foods. We got their half and half and their eggnog. They are a Litchfield, Connecticut-based dairy. My dad was guzzling it. It was really good. There's a whole Reddit thread about it, and people are raving about this. And they said, if you want to guzzle eggnog, go with Hood, which I think my whole family agrees with. And my sister, Anna, who is an eggnog connoisseur, would recommend Hood or Soko. But this Arethusa is $13. It comes in a glass bottle. Sorry, I said Litchfield, but it says Bantam, Connecticut. But we did also get their half and half, I thought, and it said Litchfield. I could be wrong. No, it says Litchfield. Oh, Bantam Road, Litchfield, Connecticut. I don't know. Each year, our seasonal glass eggnog bottle features a different calf or scene from our farm. Oh, I didn't know that. Ingredients: milk and cream, whole eggs, cane sugar, pure vanilla, salt, nutmeg, cinnamon, vitamin D3. Now that's what I'm looking for. I could read you the ingredient list from the Howling Cow NC State eggnog, and we'd be here all day. It was disgusting. So I am really impressed, and I want to give a shout out to that dairy. You should support them. And then when I went to the farmer's market and got the chicken and the sausage, I also got some local dairy. Extremely expensive. I think I spent $13 on a quart of cream in a glass bottle, but I would rather give that money to the local farm stand than Jeff Bezos. Anyway, Oak Ridge is a dairy in Connecticut. We got their milk and their cream. All of their milk is A2. Let's see. I guess they're all over the Connecticut and New York area, and you can get it in stores. But this was good. I'd recommend. And, I'm going to recommend the Arethusa eggnog. I would say, as always, I would love a little bit more cinnamon. I guess I could just put cinnamon in it and stop complaining. December 25th, 2025 was a Thursday. It was also Christmas Day. 8 a.m. Metra coffee with half and half made by Mary. 11 a.m. Crustless quiche with bacon, spinach, bacon fat, roasted potatoes, garlic, cheddar, and Gruyere cheese made at home in Connecticut. 4 p.m. A bottle of Eyinger Pilsner and Garrett's popcorn. 5:30 p.m. Beef brisket with carrots and cipollini onions, mashed potatoes with creme fraiche, sourdough dressing with bratwurst, green bean casserole with fried shallots, and shaved Brussels with cosmic crisp apples, pecans, parmesan, and a mustard vinaigrette, and a pour of 2019 Carpinetto Vino Nobile di Montepulciano Riserva, made at home in Connecticut. 7:30 p.m. Chocolate cream pie with whipped cream, made by Anna and Mary. A lot to say with so little time. We ended up making the Nach Waxman beef brisket recipe, salted it 2 days before, cooked it 1 day before, reheated it day of. We were using Morton's kosher salt in this house, which I am not used to using. It's almost, when you're switching between kosher diamond crystal salt and Morton's, you really have to like cut your amount in half when you switch over to Morton. And that, I think, sort of messed things up, and the beef brisket was oversalted. Brian did have to remove the brisket from the juice that it made. It made a ton of juice, by the way, with no added liquid. We didn't add any liquid to it, and there really wasn't much fat to it. They gave us the decal and the flat, but trimmed all the fat off. So that's also a factor in this recipe for it being too salty. I think, Brian put a heavy hand on the salt, not realizing it was Morton's, and also that the recipe we were referencing, which didn't have amounts, but said to heavily salt when, that kind of meat was super fatty compared to what we had. So Brian did have to rinse the meat and soak it multiple times so that the salt would extract, and then pour that water off. He then returned it to the braising liquid that it created on its own, which was also well salted, but not too salty. I also wasn't about to throw away the $16 worth of cipollini onions that we used in the sauce. And all the stock that I made, the beautiful gelatinous chicken stock from the $26 chicken. So, the rest of the day, Brian was like, I'm going to Whole Foods. I'm starting over. We're starting over. We're getting another brisket. Mary and I talked him off that ledge, and it ended up being okay. It actually ended up being great. It was a fantastic brisket. I would recommend this recipe. I would keep in mind, depending on what kind of cut of meat you get, be careful with the salt, especially if it's well trimmed. If you do oversalt it, you could add fat. You could also try and extract salt from the meat by soaking it in water and draining and rinsing. I already talked about the mashed potatoes extensively. I was disappointed by the dressing that I made. First of all, I think the sourdough that I bought was way too sour for this application. I got it at Whole Foods. I think it was more of a local sourdough. It was a whole wheat sourdough that was pre-sliced, very dark, very strong sour flavor. I cut it up, or I tore it up and let it dry out on a sheet pan. I accidentally did turn the oven on, despite putting Post-it notes all over the oven saying, don't turn the oven on, there's bread in here. I turned the oven on and toasted the hell out of the sourdough dressing. I couldn't have added enough liquid, and it didn't really come together. It sort of stayed in breadcrumb pieces the entire time. I usually only put like 2 to 3 eggs in a dressing recipe. I upped it to 4 or 5, and it still didn't create much of a custard. Used a ton of stock. The flavors were there, says my sister, but I was disappointed. I was really disappointed by it. And I think the sour flavor is really also what threw it. Brian did a fantastic job with the green bean casserole, I thought. We couldn't find any fried shallots at Whole Foods. They were out, so we fried them ourselves. I guess I ended up frying them, and they were great. I don't know if he referenced a recipe. I'm going to guess that he referenced the Serious Eats recipe because it was a little bit soy sauce forward, I would say, with the cream sauce that he made, and it was delicious. Anna made a great mustard vinaigrette for the shaved Brussels salad. We also roasted honey nut squashes with a ton of butter and salt and pepper, which I did not eat. I also made a horseradish cream sauce, which was recommended by David Leibowitz for the Nach Waxman recipe, but I forgot to serve it. So sad. And I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I feel bad because I took the last creme fraiche at the grocery store from a guy who really wanted it, and then I didn't really end up using it. This guy was looking for creme fraiche. The grocery store worker said, there isn't any left. Go look in the fish section. I remained standing there, and then the grocery store workers happened to find one, and they said, oh, whoops, there's one. Here's the last one. Do you want it? And I said, yes. I should have given it to that guy, but I didn't, and then I didn't even use it. So that sucks. What did I do? I followed, I don't know if David Leibowitz gives an exact recipe for a horseradish cream, but he does make a suggestion, and I added, I don't know, like half a container. I mean, it was like a really small container of creme fraiche. I added a couple teaspoons or maybe tablespoons really of red wine vinegar, just a pinch of sugar, pinch of salt, and horseradish. We also did manage to get the last bottle of horseradish in the store. And then again, didn't even use it. Overall, it was good. I think beef brisket was strange. A strange choice, but it worked. And it was super tender. I think the decal was more tender than the flat, obviously. I sort of skipped over a couple things. In the morning, we made Metric coffee. Metric from Chicago. Anna brought a couple bags, and it was delicious compared to the counterculture coffee. When we were switching back and forth like that, it made the counterculture coffee taste burnt, and maybe it was, but the Metric coffee was delicious. This crustless quiche we make because my mom is gluten-free, so we'll do like a breakfast casserole. Gluten-free breakfast casserole. I roasted bacon ahead of time. I double boiled spinach just to get all the gross like metallic iron out. And then I squeezed all the water of it, chopped it up. I should have squeezed it again before putting it into the breakfast casserole. So yeah, I had bacon, cut that up, spinach, cut that up, made that a couple days ahead. And then I took a bunch of potatoes and cut them up real small and roasted them in the leftover bacon fat, put that away. Had Mary make like I don't know what the ratio was, but maybe let's say we use like 10 eggs to like 2.5 cups each of cream and milk. With some grated garlic in there, some salt, just a tiny bit of pepper. Can't cook with a lot of pepper from my parents. And then what do? We did a layer of grated sharp white cheddar at the bottom with the potatoes, then bacon and spinach. Then topped all that with a ton of Gruyere cheese to make a nice crust on it. And cook that for about, 55 minutes to an hour in the oven at like 350. I thought it was great. I will say when I initially pulled it out, I think it was just a touch underdone in the middle, But I did want to keep it warm in the oven for people to eat, and that really helped just set the middle, and it was like a nice creamy custard. So something to remember for next time. Also to remember for next time, I think putting the roasted potatoes cold from the fridge into the quiche, I didn't like the texture of that. I think I would do fresh potatoes next time, freshly roasted potatoes. Otherwise, that refrigerated potato texture, I just don't like that. Or I would let them come up to room temp, maybe heat them up before adding. That's what I would do next time. But yeah, I did freak out about it being a little bit underdone, but when I let it ride in the oven to keep warm for serving, it would turn out perfectly. Okay, so I put a link to the Nach Waxman beef brisket recipe. I think I've talked about it to death. I would recommend it. And then actually this wine that I got I thought it was great. I don't think my sisters liked it, but this was my kind of wine. It's like the kind of wine that makes you cough because it's like, whoa. Fluid red with cherry and plum flavors accented by tomato leaf and juniper reveals earth and iron notes as this firms up on the lingering finish, open and stays fruity through the end. Sangiovese and Canaiolo. Drink now through 2028. Soil, leaves, mushrooms, rock, tomato, blackberry, black cherries. It's good. I love a Sangiovese grape, and I love Montepulciano. It was recommended as a staff pick at the wine store across the street from the Whole Foods, where we try and get the Orange Cat wine. Yeah, I like this a lot, actually. And then my sisters made this chocolate cream pie, which was excellent. Let's see, I have the recipe pulled up. We've made this before. I'm going to recommend it forever. Let's see. What I will say, it's behind a paywall, but I have it on my app. Let me see. I think just as a pudding recipe alone, this is worth making. If you're looking for a good chocolate pudding recipe, just use the pudding filling. Maybe a little thick and sturdy for a standalone pudding. Could be a little bit looser, but let's see. Samantha, oh my God, how do I say your last name? Seneviratna, maybe. Sorry. Crust is 270 grams of Oreos, 4 tablespoons of butter, salt. For the custard, which is technically a pudding, I think. 100 grams of sugar, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 3/4 teaspoons of kosher salt. Again, with kosher salt, you really need to do a weight measurement. 3 cups of whole milk, 6 large egg yolks, 8 ounces of semi-sweet bar chocolate, 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then you make a whipped cream. This is excellent. Is it a custard? Yes, but actually it's an American pudding, I would argue, because of the amount of milk and cornstarch. Eat it as a pudding or a custard, whatever you want. The crust is good. I felt like, I don't know if it was because we're using gluten-free Oreos. I don't know if the Oreos were able to absorb the butter, and it seemed like the butter kind of weeped or seeped out of the crust, which I think was a gluten-free Oreo thing. This was a huge hit, and I'm highly recommended it. We ended up using Guittard chocolate, semi-sweet chocolate, which I think was a good choice. And yeah, I'm gonna move on because I'm running out of time. December 26th, 2025, it was a Friday, 9 a.m. Metric coffee with half and half made by Anna. 2 p.m. a chicken sandwich with bacon and garlic parmesan fries from Shake Shack in New Haven, Connecticut. 4 p.m. a handful of Garrett's caramel popcorn, and 2 mini black and white cookies from Katz's Deli. 6:30 p.m. Grazza olive oil potato chips with hell of a good French onion dip and leftover brisket with horseradish cream and green bean casserole. Okay. Woke up and had some beautiful Metric coffee. Drove down to New Haven, Connecticut to meet up with my dear friend Peter, who we've been trying to meet up and get New Haven pizza. He's from New York State, Westchester County, so he's never had New Haven, Connecticut pizza before. We keep trying to meet up and it never works out. So we went around noon to stand in line at Sally's in New Haven, and there was no way we were going to get sat before like 2:33 p.m. So that didn't really work out. We had to abandon the line at Sally's. The line at Frank Pepe's was even worse. We should have tried Modern, which I've heard is better, but there was a line there too. We tried to go to a diner that was closed. We tried to go to Lewis's Lunch, which is supposedly the first hamburger place. It's like a super cool old school Pizza Hut looking place. They just serve hamburgers on white bread, no ketchup. They have 2 sides, pre-made potato salad or potato chips. That's it. We went in there and they said, yeah, you can order right now, but you're not going to get your hamburger until like an hour and a half later, which seems crazy to me. If the only thing you're making is hamburgers, why is it taking this long? I mean, presumably they're not making the potato salad to order. So we couldn't go there, which was a huge disappointment. I really wanted to try that. We tried to go to this random brick oven pizza place that looked full of people with strollers, and that was an hour and a half wait. I mean, we could not eat anywhere. So we ended up going to Shake Shack. Yikes. So sorry about that. I mean, the crazy thing is, I remember when Shake Shack opened in New York, I worked around the corner from it for Ralph Lauren. I worked for Ralph Lauren's son, Andrew Lauren. He had a film production company at the time, and I would just sit in his office and read scripts and answer the phone in quotes. It never rang. But what did he do? He produced some movies like The Squid and the Whale. Anyway, and he had an assistant. I was just the phone girl. He had an assistant who would roll him cigarettes and pack his bag to go to the Hamptons every weekend. And Andrew Lauren would, I would get him yogurt sometimes. He would eat a yogurt. And then for lunch, he would usually leave the office and go to Madison 11 Park, that restaurant where my uncle worked for the day, and never come back. That was an interesting job. I had it while I was in college. It was an internship, I guess. I wasn't paid. Nor should I have been, because I wasn't doing anything. But it also, why am I talking about this? Because while I was working there, we were around the corner from the first Shake Shack, and they launched a camera, and you could see how long the line was, which it was just spirals of people waiting in line to eat at Shake Shack. Eventually I got to eat there, and it was exciting and fun. But they're just serving like frozen crinkle fries at the end of the day. The chicken sandwich was delicious, I will say. I think this is only the second time I've had Shake Shack since I went to the original location. And the chicken reminded me of Chick-fil-A chicken. Really good. I loved it. I added bacon to the sandwich. The fries were fine. I think their milkshake / custards are good, but I didn't get one. Anyway, yeah, I can't believe we made Peter come all the way to Connecticut to eat Shake Shack, but what can you do? Went home and ate more black and white cookies, and then I had the horseradish cream with the leftover brisket, and this hell of a good brand French onion dip was really good. I will say these Grazza olive oil potato chips, my parents literally bought boxes of them like they are a grocery store, and made us take a ton of them home. I don't really like these potato chips, if I'm being honest. they have a weird flavor to them. Like I don't, like people don't fry with olive oil for a reason. And I don't think the flavor is right. Okay. December 27th, 2025. It was a Saturday. 8 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home in Connecticut. 11 a.m. A drip coffee with whole milk from Honeymoon Coffee Shop in Ridgewood, Brooklyn. 2 p.m. Sorry, Ridgewood, Queens. I'm an idiot. It's culturally Brooklyn, but technically it's in Queens. 2 p.m. A cheesesteak, poppers, onion rings, and roast pork from John's Roast Pork in Philadelphia. So this was the day that we drove back to North Carolina. We dropped Anna off in Ridgewood, culturally Brooklyn, technically Queens, to see one of her friends, and went to Honeymoon Coffee Shop. The coffee was very strong and fruity, I would say. I meant to look at what kind of coffee they brew, and I didn't. But I thought it was strange that they only had oat milk or whole milk as options for the coffee. Not what I would opt for. Maybe they were just out of half and half. Brian and Anna got Americanos. It was fine. I have heard of Honeymoon Coffee Shop before because Steven from Celebrity Book Club, one of my favorite podcasts, lives near and frequents this coffee shop. Ended up driving over the bridge into Philadelphia on the way back to get a cheesesteak from John's Roast Pork. It was super crowded, but they served the food in like under 10 minutes, which it's like, okay, if they're doing that, why can't this place with hamburgers on white bread get it out in under an hour and a half? No clue. Cheesesteak was great. I got it with the American cheese, the liquid American cheese, I would say. It was fantastic. We ate it in a Lowe's parking lot. Also, just for context, the last 2 days of eating, it was like 20 degrees out. So we were walking all around New Haven, Connecticut, trying to find a place to eat. And like, I don't know, it was like 15 degrees at that point. We ate this food on a picnic table in a Lowe's parking lot that was covered in ice. The roast pork was good. I was actually standing in line ordering this, and this girl behind me said, "Have you had the cheesesteak here?" And I said, "I've never been here." And she said, "Okay, well, the roast pork is really dry. If you want good roast pork, you should go here or here." And of course, I can't remember what she said. I didn't write it down. I wasn't about to go somewhere else to get roast pork. But I will agree with her. It was on the drier side, but it was good. We got it with sharp provolone, no spinach. It was good. Cheesesteak, though, was my fave. The jalapeno poppers, I think, were like, Cisco pre-made jalapeno poppers, maybe. I've had like the exact jalapeno popper before. Stuffed to the brim with cream cheese and some sort of yellow cheese. They were great. The onion rings were fantastic. They were huge and more of a like seltzery fried fish batter. Overall, great experience. And I don't know, I have like four in the range of 4 to 8 different cheesesteak places on my Philadelphia map to try. This was a good one. December 28th, 2025. It was a Sunday, 9 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half, made at home. 1 p.m. A crispy chicken taco with avocado ranch and a Volcano Quesarito from Taco Bell in Oxford, North Carolina. 6 p.m. Chicken soup with onion, garlic, carrots, kale, cannellini beans, lemon, harissa, and S&B umami topping, crispy garlic with chili oil. 7 p.m. Dietz's milk chocolate pretzels. Okay, I went to Taco Bell because we had to drop off one of our cars for maintenance in Oxford. So I said, let me go to Taco Bell. Mostly because Anna's been talking about the quesarito the whole time we were with her. She's like, the quesarito's back. And I never had one. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to get, but I'm going to pull up to the window. And there's a big sign that said Volcano Quesarito. And I I don't know. I don't know what happened. But when the person on the speaker said, "What can I get you?" I looked at the sign and I said, "Can I get a Volcano Quesarito and 2 crispy chicken tacos?" I don't know why I didn't recognize the word as being volcano. Maybe because everything else, every other word on the Taco Bell menu is made up. So that was embarrassing. The Volcano Quesarito was really good. I would recommend it. Like, part of it was really hot. I don't think the sauce was evenly distributed. And then the end of it was like nacho cheese. And that was a delight. The crispy chicken taco with avocado ranch was delicious. I would say the chicken to tortilla ratio was off. There was like a tiny piece of chicken and huge flappy what is it called? Tortilla. But it was filled with fresh veg and cabbage, and it was good. I also got Brian a steak and poblano rolled quesadilla, which was huge, and he really liked it. And he's still talking even today about how good that Taco Bell visit was, even though he scoffed at the idea of going to Taco Bell in the first place. Okay, I made chicken soup, and it was pretty good. I topped it. Well, I got this harissa paste from the grocery store inside the place Sasul's in North Raleigh that we go to, and got some of that harissa paste. I don't know. It's the most common one that you can find. There's something sickly about it. I don't know if it's watered down or if it was old, but usually a harissa paste is like bright. This was like kind of gray. It felt watered down. I fried it in olive oil with the onion and the garlic and the carrots, and finished it with some lemon cheeks and this S&B Japanese, I don't know what to call this. The title is so long. S&B umami topping, crispy garlic with chili oil. And then they have a spicy and a mild version. I think I got the mild. It's a little sweeter than I thought it would be. I don't love it. But honestly, I think after making homemade chili crisp, that's the way to go. The Serious Eats has a really great recipe. And then I ended the day, and I'm going to end this podcast with the Dietz's milk chocolate pretzels, which I get every year from my dad. Except this year, they're only 2/3 of a pretzel. You know how a pretzel is 3 quadrants? One of the quadrants is missing, and it didn't break off. Because the chocolate coating is continuous. There isn't any breakage. I'm a little confused by it. So I don't know. They were still delicious though. And I'm going to end things there. This has gone on for long enough. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.